Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. This last devotional before the Christmas Day festivities begin, when we remember the wonder of God's condescension coming down as a baby in a manger and God becoming flesh. And for us to have a God like that who's not distant and far away, a God who watches us from a distance is not the kind of God that we need. Is that right? But we have a God who is willing to take on human flesh, to take on the temptations and the trials of understanding our humanity and being born as a baby. That's the wonder of what Christmas is. Well, it's one of the wonders of Christmas. You know, there are so many great words associated with Christmas. He's compiled a great kind of a group of words. We talk about love, we talk about peace, we talk about fulfillment, we talk about the promise, we talk about the gift that God gives us at Christmas time. Each one of those is a multitude of sermons in the making. But today I just want to talk about one aspect of the beauty of this gift of Jesus. We understand the gift that comes via Jesus of redemption and of salvation and sanctification and ultimately of heaven one day. But while we're here on earth, we need a God who's not somewhere distant, but a God who is close to us, a God who is with us. And this is the beautiful message of what I want to just remind you of today. God with us. Not God up there in this pie in the sky watching from miles away, but a God with us in human flesh. Now that means different things to different people, but for me it gives us a great answer to the dilemma of fear. Anybody who understands fear knows that fear is accentuated by darkness. Just think back to times when you were a kid and it was dark and while the light was on, you were rough and you were tough and you were pretty brave. But when the light went off and darkness filled the room as lights left, your fears began to become larger, more lively, more imaginative, and more real to you. Now, as we look around the world today, we see how darkness is kind of everywhere. And at our Christmas carol service the other night, Marky was talking about darkness and said to the kids, "Why do you think it's so dark?" And so some bright Alec kid who I love dearly said, "Because of Eskom and load shedding. That's why it's so dark." But I get his humor. I get the humor. But people, it's a dark place out there. People have recently been talking about just the festivities aspect of what Christmas is all about. And they have noticed a decline over the course of the last 20 years. In the old days, as Christmas was celebrated, families would make a big deal. There'd be town celebrations, there'd be parties taking place in the streets. But as a result of so many different things, that seems to have gone on the decline. I wonder if it isn't because the shadow of fear has covered the world. We're fearful people. We're fearful personally. We're fearful about different situations in our life. Is God going to come through me? Am I going to be able to keep my job? Am I going to get a job? Am I going to be able to earn enough to keep my kids at school? Am I going to be able to do all those things? What about my health? My health is not great. You know, and we're beginning to think, well, we're getting more fearful the older we get. And fear is like a shadow that covers the world right now. That's a personal fear. And you get to know different fears as according to your local fear. We fear local influences. We fear politics. What's the country going to look like by the end of next year? We have this deep tendency to move towards darkness, and in the darkness our fear begins to grow. We look nationally. We look worldwide. And we see what's happening over the planet. We see what's happening in Israel and all over the world. It's not just Israel. There's so much tragedy taking place around us, and something in the back of our minds leads us into a place of fear. It's a shadow that covers us. But if you know anything about shadows, shadows can only hurt you in your mind. A shadow can't hurt you. A shadow, the valley of the shadow of death can't hurt you. It's just a shadow. And when you see a shadow, you're fearful of it, but it can't hurt you. It can't hurt you. So it's the emotion of the fear that goes with the shadow that we have to deal with. And there's only one answer as I can see it. Jesus came not just to give us the freedom from sin and the freedom from hell one day, but the freedom from fear. Isn't it wonderful? His presence makes all the difference. It always has, and it always will. That no matter how dark it becomes in your life, nationally, worldwide, we know that Emmanuel, God is with us. Now, in the old days, we used to sort of think, well, I would like to be where God is. Well, here's the good news. God is where you are because He is in you. If you are a believer today, you have the presence of God in you. And as I've said many times, that's your hope of glory, both here and in eternity. God with you, God in you. And wherever you go, you take God with you. You can't be away from Him. And if that be true, then fear will run in the face of the presence of Jesus in our lives. So this Christmas time, let's make room for Jesus, more room for Jesus, in our worship, in our contemplation, in the honing in on the truths of saying, God is in me. He's not Emmanuel, just God with us in a physical sense on the world, as it was that physical Christmas time. God is in you. Wherever you go, you take Him with you. Now that encourages me, man. That encourages me to think that wherever I am, God is. Psalm 139 talks about, where can I flee from your presence? If I go to the other ends of the heavens and the depths of the sea, if I go to the other side of the ocean, you are there. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. People, draw some strength this Christmas time from that incredible promise. I wish you a happy Christmas. Helene and I are thankful for your partnership with us, your friendship with us. Thank you to all of you people who have just watched so faithfully our little devotions. And man, I just love doing these things and just finding some way to be able to connect, albeit in a strange way. But thank you. And our prayer for you is that you will understand that we are free from fear because of the presence of Jesus when He is near. So God bless you this Christmas time. To those who are tired, to those who are not well, to those who are maybe lonely, to those who are grieving, just know that our hearts are with you, our prayers are for you, and God is with you. Have a great Christmas time, and we see you after Christmas. Bye now.